Right now you're hearing music by Federico Chiesa, who makes music as OORA, and is today's guest on the Music Production Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Music Production Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Funk. On today's show, I have Federico Chiesa, who makes music as OORA, and that's spelled O-O-R-A. And he's making some really cool, a lot of instrumental, synthesizer, almost ambient music sometimes, but it sometimes gets a little more of an edge. He's in Brooklyn right now. We just realized we're so close to each other. But I've really been enjoying his music a lot, and also some of the philosophical stuff behind it. And one thing that really caught my attention, he had a video on what is that device called? The Artiphone. But in that video, you talked about the book Free Play by Steven Nachmanovich.
Nachmanovich, yeah.
Am I saying that right? Nachmanovich?
Nachmanovich, I think.
Nachmanovich, okay. So I just read his book, The Art of Is, and that book was given to me by Dan from Patches. So Patches is a website, very Ableton Live focused. Dan makes a lot of really cool devices. I talk about him a lot in his work. So he gave me that as a gift right before we went into lockdown. And I really loved the book, and it had so many interesting ways to think about music, and it made me want to read this book. And then you were talking about it, and so here we are. We're just getting together here now, getting to know each other, and it's good to have you listening. And Federico, it's good to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be in the show. And yeah, it's like, as you said, that I'm very into discussing about what I read in that book. I'm very curious about his new book that I actually found out when you said that, because I didn't know there was another. I give for granted somehow that was an old book, Free Play, because it sounds so timeless somehow that I didn't actually do any research on the author on more. So it's like, this is it. I love what they say. And since I read it, I recommend to everybody. It's just like so great for, I would say artists, but in general for person, just to approach what you do with a kind of different frame. So.
Yeah, so I think Free Play is the more well-known book of the two. Because as I kind of looked it up a little bit, it seemed like everyone was talking about that one. Mm-hmm. The part I think philosophically there's probably a lot of similarities, but I'll have to read the other one to find out and let you know. But the idea of just kind of like being okay with things and having fun as you're doing it, and just being in the experience, I guess the art of is in that book is really just being okay with what it is you're doing, and it's of course in like an artistic musical frame, but like you said, it really works just in life to kind of be okay with things. And one kind of like takeaway I got from it was so I'll often feel like if I'm sitting down on the couch watching TV or something, relaxing, there's always this nagging part in my mind saying like, what are you doing, man? You're wasting your time. You should really be working on some of your music. You got to be doing. There's all these voices like telling me all the things that I should be doing. So much so that I'm like not even enjoying my relaxation. I might as well not even be doing it. So one big takeaway was when I've decided I'm going to sit down and relax, that's what I'm doing. And it's okay. and just have fun. And then when you go on to do your other things, that's what you're doing, and just be in there. And you'll come out of
Definitely.
it later and do the other things. But it was really helpful, and it's just it kind of opened my mind and eyes to the fact that there is this like kind of low level stress humming away, almost like an air conditioner hum in the background that you sort of
Yes.
forget
Yes.
about, but it's there and it's
Yeah.
nagging you a little.
It is a sort of FOMO, fear of missing out on what you should do, even for your personal growth.
Hmm.
And I really relate to it what you said, and that's very interesting. And like I feel that on the other book, there's a lot of effort on let you understand that you need to embrace, as you said, the way of playing, the way of playing as a kid and enjoy what you're doing. And there's some beautiful ideas of how you can do that. And I feel that first that book has been introduced to me by Sebastian Mullert, that is an artist that I have the chance to meet and virtually, and he teach me a lot of interesting things and about improvisation, about taking your time with instrument as a kid should, as a kid would. So I feel that sitting down and doing something, embracing what you do fully, it's a things that we really need to learn, because there's always something back in our mind to tell you you should do something else or what you're doing is not good. There's all of these things about being this imposter syndrome that I had to struggle a lot in my life and keep have to, that what I'm doing is not good enough. And even when people tell me, "Oh, that's good," I say, "No, it's not that good." And so it's really finding a balance on what you're doing, what is your passion that keeps you afloat. And for somebody maybe like us, it comes with music, and it's very beautiful when you find out that balance, and then when you find out how to be happy with what you're doing. But I guess it's an eternal struggle. It's just like growing up and overcome all the anxiety of producing and making yourself better, I guess.
Yeah, the imposter syndrome comes up again. That phrase comes up so often
Oh yeah.
on the podcast when I talk to people, and um, it's it's like I keep saying, it's like kind of comforting to hear other people say they go through it too, because that's a real thing I feel all the time, and in a lot of aspects in my life, really, even just like pretending that I'm an adult, like here I am like doing these like adult things, and I always feel like I'm getting away with something. Like they think I'm paying my taxes. Like who do they think I am? Like s-
it,
f-
it
it,
it's far. I think that the imposter syndrome or whatever. And I don't know if you guys went through many times. I don't want to get again, but it's so easy today to reach to a point where you are noticed somehow. Like in let's take Instagram, that has been my way to get a little more outside my bedroom. It can happen in like a few months that you get noticed, and then you face like people complimenting you, people asking you for advice, for a lot of stuff. And while that is of course a big ego struck, it's beautiful, then at a certain moment you say, "Oh, but I see the other artists, they really do better stuff, they do amazing music." And then you try to push yourself to get better, to do what you think has more value, I don't know. And it's, I guess, before it took ages to get to a point. You practice, you practice, you practice until it's not a more lucky strike, but it's just the fact that you are doing a craft.
Mm.
Nowadays, it really can come out in few months. And I mean, I'm extremely small, but a fun fact, in this building where I lived last year, there was this guy that I met in the laundry room. was completely dressed in pink, and he introduced and said, "Hey man, I'm Pink Sweat." I was like, "Who's this guy?" After a few months, one of his songs became extremely popular, and now is one of the top R&B singer, emerging R&B singer, living in Los Angeles, probably doing million and collaborating with all the biggest guy. So it's just like it's a word, this one, that in a day you can really skyrocket. And I guess a lot of people feel like, am I really good or am just lucky? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think there's always luck, you know, even for the greats. I think even when you look at some of the like real proven artists of music history, there's always some stroke of luck, some sort of thing that happened that got them noticed. But I feel what you're saying, that suddenly you get that, and I've had my small tastes of little things and people writing in and saying this and that, and like sometimes you're like, oh, but you don't understand. Like, I'm just a guy like fooling around here, and it's I think on one level a healthy thing, because it pushes you, makes you want to get better, and I think that's worth recognizing. When I feel that feeling of like I'm an imposter, it reminds me, if I can be positive about it, that like, oh, well, that's because I'm trying to improve and grow and everything. But it is a real thing. And I, I, I say I take comfort it comes up, just because it's just funny that like so many people go through it, and that it's worth talking about, and it's nice to hear, because sometimes you get impressions of artists, you see their work, like you said, oh, they're so amazing at what they do, and they wow, and you kind of just think like they just have that, but it's also a product of a long time working, and I'm sure even like if like you gain some success in a relatively short period of time, there's still all of that time beforehand of learning music and learning all the things that go into it, the self-promotion, or the just becoming a well-adjusted enough person to spend the time to do music.
Yeah, I feel that there's some kind of obsession that I've been in. I've been in music, like being in band or learning instruments since probably I was 7 or 8. I was before was guitar, and now it's electronic stuff. But I realized that most of my time I always think about what I want to do in music, what I have, what I want to accomplish, what I want to write down, and it's literally most of my thoughts goes there, and I guess that means that I've working with music with my mind like
Yeah.
forever, since forever. So whatever it comes, it can be some recognition, it can be nothing. It's just like the fruit of a lot of brain work about that. And it's, I guess it's hard because like there's many reasons why you do this, and it could be there's no good and wrong, but somebody can be like, I want to be famous and I want to be a rock star, and who doesn't? I mean, like I wanted when I was in band. Right now, I feel that it's really beautiful to be part of a community, and I feel that the things I always wanted, I always desired was to feel equal to the people I like, to the other peers that are in the music industry or are in a certain niche of the music I do. And that's the beauty of being online right now and get to a certain degree of recognition, is like you start being in touch with the people that before you were just admiring, and it gives you some credibility somehow, so it makes things a little more easier. And uh, and then I love the fact that you can give back. So when people ask you thing and you get over this imposter thing and you realize, okay, I can share my experience, and that's the beauty of what's happened online, right? There's so many artists that share their knowledge, and it can be, you know, reviews, it can be just showing how you do your tracks, and it can be just talk like this, and it's just like nice. It's a very beautiful way to learn that I wasn't there when I was a kid and learning guitar. It was just me and books and no way to share opinion. So I guess it has a lot of this new society, this new way of dealing with music is very beautiful to learn and to share.
Yeah, you're right. You know, growing up playing guitar myself as well, there were just, you know, the couple people at your school that were into it with you. And you know, that was all you really had. And you did, you know, I think we had like a kind of cool community going on when I was younger, growing up in school, playing with bands, and then as you get out and the local scene, you know, it was really nice. And there are, of course, for whatever reason, like you get like the competitive thing sometimes, and there's some people that don't want to be part of that, and they kind of see it as a, you know, like a competition type of thing. But most of the people that stuck around were the community-minded people.
Yep.
And it was really nice to feel like you've had someplace you belonged, and I think we still have that now on a much wider scale, really.
Yes.
Like, and but like you said, you do then see like what other people are doing, and instead of like just comparing yourself maybe to the neighborhood people, you've got the whole world and
that's
much larger
true.
pool.
That's very true.
But it helps you grow too. There's nothing that really makes you grow faster than working or with someone or watching someone work who is more advanced and knows things that you don't know.
I wonder, that's a good point, because when we were kids, so when I learned guitar, for example, my parents initially kind of forced me, right, pick up an instrument, and I wanted to play drums, and they said absolutely no drums. And then I had to pick guitar, and I went to this teacher that was this kind of serious jazz fusion mostly kind of music that when you are a kid, fusion music is not the way to go. Even jazz, you know, you need to find their way. So for the first year I hated it, then I switched to a blues guy and I kind of like it more, and then the grunge arrived, and then it's when I really, you know, not really learned the guitar, because to play grunge you just go there and play. But I wonder if I would have started now as a kid, so I can pick what I learn, because there's tutorial for everything, and like, so I really choose the style I want to learn, the things that I need to play. I wonder if it would have been better, or I would have been like more superficial, because you know you don't get the real basics, and you just skip to the things that you really want. But you see kids now, I say the word kids, but young people playing guitar now, and it's fucking impressive how good they are. And what really strikes me lately is like when we were kid, there was just guy play guitar, right? We were just the rockers, and mostly they were guys. And now there's this woman and girl that play guitar that is amazing, their style, and know how you start seeing how the instrument is interpreted by the other sex, that when we were young, we didn't have the chance to really play with bandmates that were females. Especially in Italy. Here maybe it was a little different, but it's crazy how the music is evolving right now and give chance to more people to learn. At the same time, I see this kid that play one thing's amazing, and I'm curious if they had the chance to learn all the basics, and how is they, or it's just learned by YouTube. If that is such an amazing tool that you can become that good. And then again, is that the video that they show up, is that true? It's just like, or it's just a trick, because it's music by trick, so to impress, or it's music by feel, like, so you learn something because just for yourself, and that's another big topic. I'm curious about these modern times.
That's an interesting question. I think if I had YouTube, I might have just been learning Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, and like that would have been like all I paid attention to. I wouldn't know what scales were, or my guitar teacher is an amazing teacher, and he was the guy that would just you bring him in like your tape or your CD, and he'd sit there and be like, okay, and they'd be like, there you go, there's the first part, and just in the lesson, in the half hour that he would dedicate towards learning the song, because usually he would do a theory and then some music, he'd figure out like every part of the song for you, just right in front. It was like magic. But there was always the theory element, and I'm really grateful for that, because it just that's stuff that you really take with you, and
Yep.
and it is a harder sell, especially for me. I'm a teenager at that time. I want to play the song, and that's that. I don't really care about the modes or the whatever
Yeah.
theory there
Yeah.
might be, these exercises and stuff. So I don't know if I would have had the discipline. But yeah, that's just who knows? I might not even be interested in guitar, because that was the music of the time, guitar
Could
music.
have been a TikTok dancer, maybe. Who knows?
I still think that's in my future. So,
Yeah, why not?
but yeah, the music has changed so much that the guitar itself is just not in the popular music the way it used to be.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Knows what's next.
We're so much a product of our environment and the time period and who we happen to run into, and just so much chance and circumstance really forms how we are. And looking back, I can really see in my life, like, wow, if I didn't go there that one day, if I would have just stayed home, or if I didn't stay home, or so many things would be so different.
Yeah.
So I kind of skipped over, we kind of jumped right in, but I wanted to ask you to kind of tell us just a little bit about like the music you make, and how you describe yourself as OORA, and maybe how you got there. So I know a few clues that you were started as a guitar player and played in bands. Which
Yeah,
is pretty much what I
I've
did.
been I've been so in bands my entire life, and I used to love guitar. I used to love to sing, and lately, like in 2012, I was with this band that getting kind of getting more popular. It was like a stoner rock kind of band, like Caius, Fu Manchu kind of stuff. And then like some kind of drama happened inside the band, because we were in Italy. I wanted to move to USA. There was not a lot of way to keep working, and I've been kicked out. It was terrible, terrible, terrible time. And that is when you decide that I don't want to deal with music anymore. And so for a few years, I moved here in USA, completely stopped with music. I work in photography too, so I was focusing on that. And then I always had the electronic. I don't know. I was always been very fascinated by the old Roland boxes, 303, 808, 909, 606, and I always wanted to own one of them. And I didn't have the money before, but now I'm working. And I start saying, I'll buy a box and see how it is. And also, they had to be the original one, because I'm very, I used to love vintage guitar, and I love vintage instruments. So it's another big fascination. And somehow that clicked with me. I have to say that there is this artist called Andrea Stiliander, TM404, that has been one of my the main reason why I wanted to try to do electronic music. And he released some videos back in the day on YouTube, as how he got very popular, using just 303 and 606, but he probably had 5/303, 6/606. It was weird, and he was doing this kind of acid, slow, dubby music. So that's how I got. I want to do that, and that's how it started. Then it kind of went a little downfall because from there, and it was probably 2015, 2016, I guess. It was like buying one synth after another and then sell it and then try another. So while with guitar, you keep buying guitar, yes, but the guitar is always the same. I was so fascinated by the fact that there's so many different sounding synth. That's what I was thinking then. Now I don't think like that anymore, honestly. And I had to have everything, and work was good, so I could afford stuff, and that was really giving me happiness. So I tried a lot of stuff, tried a lot of effects, whatever, and then even that phase ended because it was too many things, and I didn't really create any music, any stuff. It was just trying out thing. And when it really, I think I started focusing more, and it really go to the next level was when the COVID happened, because I was forced home, and I had eventually a lot of time to dedicate to music, and then is when I start to really learn few instruments, get rid of the things that I didn't need, and it's a first start experimenting with ambient music that I never did before. I always think it's very hard to do because I don't have that kind of vibe. I don't know how to do it. And then getting back to the imposter syndrome, I find out some way to put things together and just play a knob and something beautiful come out. So I can record a full album, and it's just so easy. And apparently that's interested a lot of people, and from zero, a lot of people start to follow me and be interested in my music, and that was beautiful. And say, okay, there's something good that I'm doing, something good that I found out. And then it was like some sort of subtractive synthesis. I start removing the things that I don't need. I start to record every time, every day, with just few synths and few effects, and try to experiment and try to find really a kind of sound that represent me. And since that moment, since March, it's like every single day I record things, every single day I play music, even when I hate it and when I don't want to do it. So I put a lot of discipline in that. And that's how I end up with a lot of material. And still I have a lot of, I wouldn't call it album, but I have a lot of tracks that are almost done or done that I can release or not, whatever. But it's just like I did a lot of quantity, and of course the quality went up. And still I'm learning, and still I have to finessing thing. And now I'm working a lot on the translating the producing part in just a live show, and just improvise completely with electronic music. That I think it's one thing that not a lot of people do. And that is the final, I think, connection with being in a rock band. I want to use all of these synth as instrument, and I want to take the risk and playing them and do my things, but live. So I want to use as few as possible sequences and stem tracks. And so this is the next step. But yeah, right now I'm surrounded, but I have a nice, I found a nice setup that allows me to play in this way. And yeah, mostly I use Electron synths and a 303 clone and some other, a big Vermona that I have there, that it's my main synth right now, and a lot of effects. So I think that what really how to say, it's my I wouldn't call it style, but what I'm really interested in is like a sort of minimalistic approach in the voices that I use or the synth that I use, and then work a lot in the ambience or the soundscape I can create using pedals and the mixer as an instrument.
Yeah, well, a good example of that would be your how do you say it? Subharmonicon?
Subharmonicon, yeah.
Subharmonicon EP, which is just using that one Moog box, right?
Yep.
And I think maybe some effects going on as well, but
There's a lot of effects, not a lot, but yeah, that is I really like that small thing, and like a lot of he had a nice a lot of people liked it, and it put me in touch with Moog, so it was great. It's a very, 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 very hard scene to use. Like at this moment, I think it was I saw one video of you that really, really resonated with me, and it's recording whenever you get a new instrument.
okay.
And that is actually something that I was thinking. I want to launch a Patreon, and one of my things would have been every time I get something new, I video it and record it, because I truly believe that most of the most interesting thing sometimes come out when you just play. And again, play as a kid. I love the instrument that doesn't need a manual to learn. And now I use Electron mostly, and those are pain in the ass. They're very hard to understand sometimes. I use the Octatrack as the main thing, and it took like 6 years to understand it. But for all of these other ambient things or the voices synth that I use, I just like to improvise the first day they come. And the Subharmonicon, the first week that I had it kind of resonated with me. And I did a lot of tracks that I like, very, very emotional. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. After that, I put it on a side for a while. And then when I turn it on now, it's just really hard. And it's probably one of those instruments that fit a certain time and a certain mood, and it will come back, and it will serve me again in a certain moment. But right now it won't work for me. So it's very temperamental. I don't know. It's a very wild beast, and I guess sometimes it's just go in sync with your mood or the situation you're living in. Sometimes now I don't vibe with him. I don't know if that's happened to you too.
Oh yeah. I think that's really like a cool thing you did, where you just focused in on the one instrument. I've got a little group of friends around me too, like various things, and they are kind of like all pretty much connected, where I can have them go all kind of at the same time, for the most part anyway. And that's a lot of fun, to have your machines doing all this stuff around you, and you're kind of walking around, turning things on and off, moving knobs and stuff. But I've had those experiences where, when you kind of pick something and just focus on it, that a lot of times that's when things start to unfold and things start to come together, where you can sort of commit to ideas and
100%.
focus on things. Because
if you know Alessandro Cortini,
yeah,
so that was my second main reason why I started music, also being Italian. But his most amazing stuff to me is one you just get. Like, there's one album that he did with the MC202 that is one of the most impossible thing to program of Roland. I have it one, of course I had to buy it. And he did that mostly in hotel room, I think, with just a few Strymon pedals, and then recording it with a Zoom recorder. And it's amazing. It's extremely simple, because it's just one sequence, and then it's all about the feel of it. And that's one example. There's another artist that I deeply love, that is Caterina Barbieri, that she uses modular synth, but with a very simple system and very straightforward modules. And so it's just about heart. It's just about finding the right melody and then do a live arrangement with effects, with the mixing it. And so whenever people ask me, oh, I want to start, what should I buy? It's just like, just buy one thing. I say one synth and one effect. And I have the things that I would always recommend, but I feel that is the real way to learn things and like force yourself. Okay, I'm gonna every instrument I buy, I'm gonna do an EP with that. Like that. That's it's the kind of frame I use, so I know that I will learn it and I will record something great with that. And don't think like initially was like, okay, if I only use one instrument, then it's gonna be stupid or gonna be too easy and it's not gonna have any depth. And it's not true. There's space for every kind of music. And if you really take one instrument, like people play piano from ages, and nobody say, oh, but a song with just piano is terribly boring. Same for any other instrument. Take people that play cellos by themselves, sometimes just one note, and they made it sounds amazing. So it's just like it's very challenging and thrilling, the fact that you have a very limited instrument and you have to create something with that. So I really appreciate people that take that approach.
Yeah, that's a funny thing that we can lose sight of when you get in the electronic world. Like, so you come from playing in bands too. So you played in a band, you had, if it was anything like mine, you had like a guitarist, a bassist, and a drummer, and maybe a vocalist or whatever. Maybe you had a keyboard player or something. I never did. We just had
No,
guitars.
it wasn't cool at the day.
Yeah, none of the bands that I followed in the 90s really did either.
You might have a DJ that's scratch because that was the time, but that's it.
Yeah, I think a lot of that music that I grew up with was a little bit of a revolt to some of the more polished music of the 80s, whether it was like the hair metal bands or the synth pop bands. There was this raw, like visceral, just loud guitars and loud everything.
Yep.
But those are kind of like, I see them almost like presets. So like my guitar had a clean preset, it had a distorted preset, and maybe it had like one with one effect, because I had like maybe like a tremolo pedal or something, and those were like my presets. And we had one drum kit. Now when I think about making drums, I have all of these choices. I have every kind of sound I could ever imagine, and still there's a part of me that feels like there's something I'm missing. And it's
I think it's the human touch, I guess, but that's also a fake idea. I mean, when you're the guitar, you always, when you're a guitarist, people say, it's not the guitar, but it's the touch. Stevie Ray Vaughan can play any guitar and can make it sound as he play. And it's kind of true. And I love the concept that, a guitar is actually a preset. You have a Stratocaster, sounds like a Stratocaster, a Telecaster. You can change it in a concert. But I feel that there's some preconceived idea that an 808, also it sounds always like an 808, and then you need different things. Well, you can build your entire discography with an 808 if you want, and you treat it just having a Ludwig drum set, and that's what you have, and you build your aesthetic around it. So I like that idea.
I think the point you make about like a piano song is great. Like no one's ever going to say like, it's just a piano. like or it's just a guitar and voice. Like, it's not enough.
There has to be, though, the fact that when you see, and I still, again, do I consider myself a talented musician? Not really. I think I have taste and I have an idea, and so I produce, and that role is still seen. A lot of people don't really know what I'm doing. They think I'm DJing. But if you see somebody that really shine at the piano, then he's an artist. Then he's a musician and he's talented. And I guess it has to deal with the fact that visually you see somebody that create a sound right away and it's good and it's a passion. So with the classic instrument, that the visual cue
Yeah.
and the history of the instrument and how you play it, everybody knows that. But right now, my mom doesn't really know what I'm doing, and most of my friend of my age and people that go dancing around and know electronic music, they keep talking about me as a DJ, and I never DJ once in my life, and that's weird. It's just like this is a field where it's probably still a niche, the production, but then everybody listen to it. So not a lot of people know what an 808 is, but everybody know what a Stradivari is. So it's just like, I guess it's such a modern, since I mean they came out so recently and they get popular so recently that they still probably have to grow on the knowledge of people, on awareness of people, and that's where maybe you will have more of a notion of an artist or a player or a musician, even when you just program, I guess.
I think you're right that there's the lack of like experience of knowing what it is. But I am starting to see it come out. I teach high school English, so I'm around the young kids. And if I bring out anything with pads on it, there are a lot of kids be like, oh, that's the launch pad. Like they're used to seeing now people doing like kind of their light show performances, like especially like I think that Medion video that came back a bunch of years now, but like they're used to seeing some artists they know pressing buttons and lights happening. So they're starting to see like, okay, this is a thing. Like, whereas I think they're seeing the difference between like just straight up like DJing, like playing a song, and that is coming around a little bit. I think we're starting to get that.
I wonder if it's a lot also. There's the people that use like pads as MPC and producer in the like hip hop way. That I feel that is a little ahead of the electronic field, like more of like the techno ambient or whatever, because there has been artists that made the use, like you think of Jay Dilla, for example, and how he was using, I think was the SP404 or MPC, and make, using other track, resampling it and producing out of that. And that is starting since the 90s. You see those kind of stuff, DJ Shadow, those people. So I feel that people are aware more of that way of producing music. It's got a little more obscure when you just have synths and modular and the nerdier part.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure that it's a matter of time, and kids will be very prone to use all of this stuff soon.
Well, I can even remember. I think it was when Radiohead came out with Kid A, which was like 2000. And at that point, I'm just playing guitar. I'm not.
I hated that one when it came out.
Oh, really?
Now I love it. But when it came out, Kid A, I was like, what the fuck Radiohead is doing? We want guitars. We don't want this electronic bullshit. Now I love it, but
I think at that time in my life, after OK Computer came out, I had the Radiohead Kool-Aid in me, where they could have done anything and I would have just been like, wow, what are they doing? Because I still thought of them as a rock band, and I think it was that album and they were playing live on some TV show, and Johnny Greenwood I had to have to watch the video again. I'm assuming now it was a modular synth, but he had all the patch cables, and I was like, he looks like a telephone operator. Like, what is he even doing?
Yeah.
I
At
can't. I
that
don't.
moment, it was like obscure for sure. Like nobody ever saw
Nobody was
that.
doing modular. Like, oh, I mean, people were, of course, but like, it's not like there were Euro racks out there and these like affordable systems
Yeah.
that you can put together. And there wasn't YouTube to tell you how to do it. So when he was doing that, I had that experience of just like, I don't even get it. I have no idea what's happening. I did really enjoy the album. I think I put it on recently too, and I was wondering to myself if this was the first thing I ever heard from them, how I would have felt about it. But like I said, they kind of took you on that journey. They were an
Yeah.
alternative rock band. OK Computer comes out, and now they're really pushing the boundaries of the rock band. And then by the time Kid A comes out, it's like, is this even a band anymore? Like, what
Yeah.
is it? So that has come a long way from just that amount of time. But like you said, like all these other instruments, the piano, the guitar, we have, the piano, we have hundreds of years, guitar, nearly 100 years now, where you see the person do that thing with their arm and the sound comes out and you understand the connection. And even if you're watching a guitar player like hold their electric guitar against the amp and it's making all that noise, they're doing that.
And there's one thing though that I have to say about that, and that's a thing that really break my brain because yes, when you go see band, you see an act of doing music, and you give that act a certain value, right? Especially if it's a good band, whatever. But then for the last few years, we went through this phase that I still try to wrap my head, that is going to venues and watch DJ pushing button. And that is probably the antithesis of playing an instrument. And here, I'm not trying to do a polemic about the value of a DJ as a musician. It's just like I find so interesting that sometime here in Brooklyn, I mean, all the biggest DJ and artists come. So I had the chance to see a lot of them. And I love going dancing. So, but I'm so interested by the fact that people look at DJ as we used to watch as a Billy Corgan on stage. So, and they may make also bigger number than rock band used to do, even the big one. So, I have to still understand what is the characteristic on stage that an artist have to give this person the name is an artist or is performing, because it's such a thin line for me, all the electronic music, what is a real performance and what is a pre-recorded set. And that's maybe a problem that I have as a ex guitar player, and I feel a lot of people of my generation still feel. When I pay $40 of a ticket, what do I want to see on stage? Definitely, I don't want to see a DJ set, and that's, I think, it's the hardest part for me to understand, to accept. I still struggle, and that's why I cannot go on stage and play with stems or pre-recorded things, because I feel that I'm lying to myself, I'm lying to my audience, and it's like I'm not taking the risk of a performance as a band as I used to go. You go there and you made error and you're drunk, you're whatever, and you just take the every concert is different. While now it's very all homologated and it become a perfect, the sound quality now at venues here in Brooklyn is amazing. But I guess the same concert you hear here, you can hear anywhere else in the world, because they take around something that doesn't really allow for experimentation on stage, for taking risk. And then, of course, I bet on my heart that when people like Tom York tour now, doing what he does, he takes risk and he play live, and that's because I love to think him as an artist that perform, and but that might be also preconceived idea, And when I see a DJ, I always have back in my head, how much of this is live, how much this is prepared, and how much this is worth my entry ticket. And in the end, most of the people doesn't really care. It's just I go there, I experience music light, the show, and I have a good time. And that's in the end what probably should matter. And I'm still here fighting like what is real, what is not real, what a musician should do. And sometimes I don't enjoy it as much because I criticize it constructively and not like say, oh, this is bullshit, but like why this work in a certain way. And it has to have a reason why we had this DJ from Guitar Hero. We went almost straight to this DJ Hero that is like the opposite of bands. And yeah, I love it. I enjoy it. But still, I need to understand. I need to sociologically understand why we had the need to switch from a certain way of enjoying and using music to the complete opposite. So listen pre-recorded music and have somebody that actually is the curator of the music you listen.
Right.
That's amazing because you have so much thousands of release every day that we come to a point that we need a DJ that curates our listening and help us to dig through that. So yeah, it's a weird time. Let's say that.
I hear what you're saying about a lot of that. I think when I started seeing concerts after I was playing guitar, it just totally changed my experience. I mean, for one, there was always like a part of me that wished I was up there, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So there was always that going on a little bit. And then like watching it happen, watching it unfold, what am I seeing? What am I hearing? Is this good? Is this a good performance? And all of those things, like you start thinking about it in just a different way. It changes your whole experience of music and performance. And there was a time period, I would say, and this is like kind of before I started doing any sort of like electronic music myself, and especially before I started performing it myself, where I would see bands and there would be like 3 or 4 people on the stage, but I'd be hearing more than 3 or 4 people's worth of music. And you know, it's like backing tracks or whatever it is. And that would frustrate the hell out of me.
Yep.
Because I would notice like now like the music isn't fluctuating in tempo at all. It's like so solid. Everyone has headphones on, and I don't know what I'm hearing that's being played right now, and I don't know what I'm hearing that's just coming out of speakers off of a playlist. Maybe it could, for all I know, could have been an iPod or something.
That's a big curse because I think it's a curse that only us have because we know about producing and we know about being on stage. But when I go out with my wife, she enjoys just the music. And then my frustration as your frustration say, oh, I don't know if this is played right now. She doesn't even have that thought and she doesn't care about that because she bought the experience and she get the experience. But I guess it's culturally what we decide it's worth our time / money or appreciation. I don't know, and what you expect from artists to do on stage. And like backing tracks always been a big no back in the day when you were in a rock band. It's just like if you play with backing track, it's just like you're a loser. You just go there and you rock on. But now it become more common sense to use.
Do you remember Milli Vanilli?
Yeah.
Blame It on the Rain, you know, those two dudes. They had amazingly huge songs, right? Like they were at the top of the charts. And then it came out that they were lip syncing and they actually weren't even singing on the tracks. And it ruined their career. Would that still happen? I don't know. I mean,
if you mark it as I don't know. It's just like.
Would anyone care if they found out that whatever pop star you can equate to Milli Vanilli now.
It's more the interesting to say, let's say you have the song of Milli Vanilli, but you're just a regular dude. It's me. I don't have, like, let's say I don't have any weird mark on I don't strike as a
Well, they were
weird
models.
one. Yeah. Would I
fine human
make
specimens.
yeah, would I make it to the big stage? Because it's we know that, like, especially if you check what's happening in the more young musician that come out right now, they all look. We always know that they need to look in a certain way and express something. When we were young, we had maybe we grow up. I mean, I still don't know how old are you, but I from 1979. So
1980.
okay,
Same
so
age.
we had the same thing, and I feel that the grunge was for me the biggest formative experience in music, and that was all about being honest and scream out your rage, whatever rage you had. I didn't have a lot back in the day because I was a very lucky kid, but still you adhere, embrace that culture and the way of dressing, the way of acting, the way of sort of nihilism sometimes, and disillusion, I don't know. But the musician were playing just few instruments. The music was straight to the bone, and there was the Rage Against the Machine, that it just three player and a singer that would tear down a fucking building. So we grow up with that, and I think we feel that was the real music. That's how real music should be delivered to the public. And of course they were character too, because they looked in a certain way. But when you think of Kurt Cobain, that was one of my idol when I was a kid, it's just like he looked like a regular beautiful guy. He didn't have on himself like stylist or makeup artist of somebody that built his character. Right now, I feel that every musician has to be a product, and I understand that, and it's okay completely. But there's always like, did he really wrote that song? Did he really feel that song? And it's hard. I'm thinking about this. There's this woman, the very young girl performer that I like her stuff, but I don't remember the name. Whatever. And she's very dark, and she's using a lot of like dark videos, and somehow I relate, like, oh, when we are young, we used to like these. We had Marilyn Manson kind of stuff, and now there's her, but she's more good looking, and she's very, very well built, like a very well built product that appeal to all the kids, and also, I guess, some adults. And it's a beautiful, beautiful product that do very good music. But still, in my back of my head, is this, how true is this? And I guess it's just a stupid question to ask. It's just like, doesn't really matter, as long as it move people and people likes it and people are inspired by that, it work. Whatever, if it's a product, it's a person, who cares? It's just we are cursed by the judgment. Also, I'm Italian, so I'm very judgmental. I've been very judgmental all of my life. So it's just like every time find the negative things and try to, tear that thing down. So I had to work around that bad side of myself.
Right. I know what you mean, because you really got the feeling like when you saw Nirvana, that's just how they were. Those were the guys. That's how they were. And they were making it, and they were blowing up in spite of everything. The fact that was like such the cool thing about it was like, how did this happen? This shouldn't work. Here they are.
Yeah.
Look at how they dress. They're falling apart clothes, and they look like bums, But you just got the feeling like that's really how these guys were. And that whole scene that time, it just felt authentic.
Yeah.
Early Rage Against the Machine, I mean, is especially you gotta if you haven't watched any of those early concerts on YouTube, you gotta pull those up. There,
Oh no,
just
I saw they first recorded the concert like at a high school, and it was like unbelievably good. They were already, because I think
yeah.
they do Killing in the Name at a certain moment. But anyway,
But
I
all that
felt
stuff got
so
repackaged, and then it became this like really deliberate, like I don't care look, like
exactly.
you took 6 hours in the morning to look like you just rolled out of bed kind of thing. It was a really polished I don't care, and it that became kind of the product and a fake
Exactly. In the
repackaging.
end, I'm sure that we were tricked as well to think that that is an honest projection of them. But for sure, he wasn't 100% honest. I mean, I guess my generation in Italy, we were shocked when Kurt Cobain
Mm.
died. And like, you know, we live in Italy. We are so different. At that time, Italy is millions of miles behind what happened here in USA. Completely different culture. We have no immigration. We are just Italian. So we just watch at MTV, and that's our opening to what's happening in the rest of the world. And but when Kurt Cobain died, like we were shocked. People were crying, and like we didn't really know a lot about the scene, about the grunge itself, because in Italy there's not such a thing like mental issue or poverty, or especially in teenage, we are all protected somehow. We don't live the extreme that you can live it here in USA. So there was not really a connection between us and Kurt Cobain, but somehow, and they had to sell us the idea, and we believed in that, and we were destroyed by that. So I guess, yeah, TV, because it was MTV at that moment. That was our teacher somehow. So we
Mm.
were influenced, and who knows if that was real or not, but I guess it influenced how we see, how I see, keep seeing music and stuff yet,
Mhm.
still.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is. There's so much marketing and packaging that goes on. You know, so maybe just to take you on my journey again, like when I was talking about the pre-recorded music and bands drive me crazy, and then next thing I know, I like you had band fall apart, and it was kind of like that's it. I can't be relying on all these guys that because it had happened time and time again, you know, as they do. Things come up,
Yep.
and I started doing my thing with Ableton Live, with using like a push and an APC 40 and all these like controllers. And some of my music are clips. There's like beats in there, there's parts. I have a vocal mic, I've got effects, I can play around with the arrangements, and I can like jam on the songs, you know, where it is a lot of the times when I was playing, like my songs were these like ideas still, and I'm kind of fleshing them out, and I'm making decisions on how long the verse is going to be, and when I can play out, I can have fun with that, mix songs together in interesting ways, and even have like I always brought the OP1 with me as like an instrument I can play as well.
Yeah, that's perfect to improvise. Yeah, I love that guy too.
But I went through the same thing where like, am I doing enough here? Like, is this real? And I think the first time I ever played out was 2011 or yeah, I think it was the end of 2000. It was the end of 2010, going into 2011. I did like an open mic night where my friend worked, and you know, I was like nervous and unsure about everything. And right away, somebody says, "Playing dubstep, bro." You know, I was like, no,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm still like making my songs, you know, like, but I'm just using different tools now. And it was I found, especially in the beginning, that I was doing a lot more
Than it needed.
than
Yeah.
it needed just to show people I was doing it because I was really self conscious about having the laptop
Yep.
out. Because even back then, 10 years ago, the laptop on the stage was nowhere near as accepted as it is now.
Yeah.
You don't have a laptop in the band? Like, but I would find myself doing way more than necessary. I'd listen to my recordings and I'd be like, just like pressing all these buttons for no reason. And it took a lot of learning about what for me is good enough as a
Yeah.
performance. I wound up bringing guitar into my sessions. I would play my guitar, and I decided that wasn't working for me. The guitar, which is a very expressive instrument, where you can see what I'm doing and you understand it, I felt like I was only doing it so that I can show you that
For
I
the
am
sake,
actually
yeah.
playing an instrument. Hey, look, everybody, like I do play
Yep.
an instrument. And it
But
just, it
yeah,
felt phony and like contrived. And I felt, when I was playing the guitar, I felt like I was doing karaoke. Like the music is going and now I'm just playing something over it. Whereas when I was just holding the mic in one hand and then playing with other things with my fingers and knobs and everything and getting more interactive with the audience, then it started to feel like something. And then I started noticing some of those people that were like, dubstep tonight, we're starting to say like, that was pretty cool, man. You know, I don't really know what you're doing, but I kind of liked it. Like they were,
yeah. That's the thing. Is like first, yeah, I agree with you. The first time I started playing electronic music, there's to say that you are alone on stage, that it's completely different feel than being in a band. In a band, you feel the energy of your bandmates. If there's somebody that do a mistake, there's the other that, cover it. So it's just like a team.
yeah,
When you're on the stage as an electronic musician or a solo act, not only you have to show people that you're doing something, but then you can't afford to do error because you are the only one held accountable for that. And so,
right.
same of you. Like the first time, I used to
You
bring
can't point at the
many
bass player and be
instruments,
like,
and then yeah. So it was stupid. And like there's a Surgeon, a techno artist that I like, said that when he plays live, he uses the law of the 50% stupid air. Mean that when you are on stage, whatever you do, consider yourself that you are 50% more stupid. So strip down your set to the bare minimum, and in that way, you know that you will minimize your error. And at the same time, you want to, again, take the risk and manage to do some error because, and there's an entire chapter on the free playbook about the power of mistake. It's that comes out what your error and how you get over your error during a live set or a live exhibition, whatever it is what the audience will remember most.
yeah,
So you can screw it up and do a terrible job, and that would be terrible, of course, but you can transform your error in many ways. It can be, you can repeat it and that it become an idea that you bring in, or you can just show to people that that's actually your craft, meaning that you did something wrong, maybe they perceive it, and then you get over it and you keep going. And so I guess that eventually become what, as electronic musician, we should strive. It's like giving the audience the chance to experience your error, like the chance to experience that what they are listening, it's not a fully pre-recorded set, but there's range to make mistake, and to offer them the uniqueness of your way to get over error and improvise, and I feel that would be beautiful to go, yeah, Tom York, to name a big one, and see him doing an error and then create over that error something that only in that concert will be experienced. So of course, you have to play with pre-recorded stuff. You will use clips, as you said. You will have to have some sequences because it would be unbearable to go on a stage with nothing ready, because maybe you would do such a bad show that people would kill themselves. So you need to have a safe net somehow, but that safe net can be many things, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have a full constructed song that you have to push a button if you feel afraid. Because if you think like that, I feel that then you get scared and you get too much, you prepare too much safe net around you, and then you don't really play live. So it's again, it's a big balance of thing of how much you wanna risk, how much you wanna sound original, and how much you want to also please the audience, because in the end, that's an important thing too. So I'm thinking like if I go now play with full improvised set, not that I have thousands of fun that play that track, but would be fair if somebody comes seeing you as an artist because they buy your album. Would be fair then to just offer them a full improvised set that it's just, okay, guys, I'm naked in front of you. I'm doing something you should appreciate because I'm cool, I'm good, and this is my craft. But then maybe they want to listen to a song, a track that you prepare. So, and if they pay a ticket, there's also that part, so that it should be fair for them to expect that. And so somehow you need to bring in your show what they expect to hear, right?
Right. Yeah, and yeah, I've gone through the period where I thought maybe I should start everything from scratch. You know, every track will start with nothing, and in my
That's
own
very brave.
experiments, it's brave, but in my own experiments, it seemed like it was just going to be a terrible show. Like it's a fun little gimmick in the beginning. Like check it out, I made the beat, I made this, and now we got a song going. But now when I go to the chorus, I have to start over and like build that part, and I got to do this on the next song. Like after a while, like that flow of the show is destroyed. I found like it can work in dashes as a little variety to build something like that, but if that's all I'm doing now, it's kind of just showing off anyway. It's another form of just
True.
look at how good I am, like you said. Look at how amazing
Yeah.
this is, and
Yeah.
and it backfires on itself. And that whatever that line is, where what is enough for a performance and what isn't, is really just a personal call. I think, you know, and it's if it's a DJ that's just playing the tracks, but has picked out a nice playlist that's gonna have you dancing with your friends the whole night, then that might be all it
Big
takes.
time. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we don't need any fancy tricks. Just play the tracks, you know. And then maybe there's other levels to enjoy it where you can do you know, whatever, mixing, mashing, and all of that. But it's a tough thing. But I think you make a good point in that those mistakes, those errors, those problems that come up, they really are kind of a pivotal moment in any performance where your personality is going to come out and you're going to kind of show the audience an unexpected side of yourself.
Yeah.
And that's a really important and delicate moment. I've seen bands play where the drummer breaks a stick and has a fit, and the string breaks on the guitar, which happens. It's bound to happen. You play guitar long enough, you realize, hey, well, my string just broke. You know, it's part of the game, and it's just like with the computers, your things are gonna mess up. Your wires are gonna break. Or I had a show one time where I accidentally just hit the stop button. I mean, there's a stop button on the old APC 40 right under the crossfader, right next to it. And I fiddle with the crossfader for things, and I just hit the stop button one night. Boom, the end. Music is on, music is off the next moment. And that was a key moment. And it was, I did the only thing I knew how to do, which was just kind of joke around about it. And it became like a funny thing that happened instead of this life-ending moment.
I never see audience react bad.
Yeah, no one booed. No one.
I mean, why is exactly actually is the moment where you see more support from people is
Right.
when you are vulnerable. And it's all about like feeling, accepting, embracing vulnerability, and thinking that people are there to support you somehow. So it's not that they want to see you fail. Maybe someone wants,
There's a
yes,
guy in
but
the back of the room that
yeah, but it has to be very weird if you pay a ticket or you go in a cold winter night to see a guy play and then be in the corner and say, "I want him to fail." That would be really
yeah.
fucked up. So it's just like having the chance also to feel that support from them. It's cool, and like again, then you joke about it, you start over, and in the end, really nothing happened. It's not that you are recording, your track on vinyl and you screwed up and it cost so much money, and now
Yeah.
it's just that unique moment. And yeah, I remember there's one of Radiohead that I used to like. It was fun when Tom York got extremely mad at the guitar player.
Is it Johnny Greenwood or maybe
Greenwood,
I don't
because
know.
he was, I think Greenwood was playing a synth, right? And the synth keep coming in with a different BPM or something. And he really threw a fit on stage. And I never expect that Tom York, he thought it was a good band, like solid between them. But it was interesting. It's just like, okay, it happens to them too. It's just like sometime Johnny Greenwood, that is a fucking genius, doesn't know what he's doing, and it's just like you saw him, and he's like super worried, and he don't know what to do, and it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Well,
deal
to
with it.
their defense, Radiohead's under a lot more pressure than I am at the local pub, you know, two in the
Probably,
morning,
probably.
you know. So I can laugh about it a little bit. I'm also probably not getting paid.
Yeah, that's the thing. But doesn't cancel the fact that every time you go on stage, even if it's for 3 or 4 people, you feel the pressure of it, and that will never change. I'm doing Twitch live lately. I'm trying, just started, and even if the 10 people watching, it's just like it feel like alive, and so you feel like nervous and like, okay, I need to do things right. I need to impress them, whatever. So it's part of our thing, like to be performer, to just show a good thing and put our goodwill in it. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thrill, you know. I mean, you still get that thrill when you go live on, the internet to perform, even if there's 10 people you can't even make eye contact with. So you don't even know
yeah,
what they're thinking. But there's that thrill, yeah. Like suddenly you get that a version of that adrenaline rush that you get on stage,
yeah,
and anytime I don't play for some extended period of time, and then I go out and play, I remember why I used to want to do it every night. Why we would go out multiple times a week
yeah,
just to get that, because it's unlike anything else. The release of it, there's it's really powerful. Um, so that's cool. You're doing that, like, just to get that, and
yeah,
and it's like, it's a lower risk thing too. It's I guess depending on how many people are watching you, right? But
oh yeah.
but you have that kind of like comfort from home, and I think that's part of the reason, people will sit through a live performance on Twitch or YouTube or something, because they know it's happening now and it's real, and it's anything could happen. That is part of the thrill of seeing
Yeah,
people play live, is you don't know what's going to happen tonight.
yeah. And also, yeah, considering that it's home, yes, it's weirder and it's not as much as cool of being in a venue. But you see artists in their home, so,
Yeah.
and it feels that they are closer to you than they will ever be, because you can chat, and some of them, sometimes you manage to have reply from them. So it's just like, it's what it is, because we are now forced to enjoy music like that or whatever. But I guess it's a good exercise for me. It's a good exercise to be out there and like force myself. I'm gonna play every week. I'm gonna do a 1 hour improvising show, and I think it's great, because you can build little by little an audience even there. And then I have just already few people that every Wednesday that I do that, they will be there. I involved my wife doing visual. So it's just a diversion from just being home and keep recording without putting it out there. It's another small risk that it's nice to have, and you can do it comfortably from your home.
Yeah. Yeah, no travel, no traffic, no parking.
Exactly.
And you the focus I found too, you know, the occasional time I do it. Uh you're focused. Like I'm not going to go on the internet and start
Yep.
browsing around or seeing if I got any new emails. Um, um it keeps me in the moment, which is a really was I didn't really consider that until I'd started doing it a little. That was a nice benefit because here we are. I know me, like so much of my music happens in the computer these days that I'm always faced with the temptation to just get distracted. Oh, I just have
Yep.
to move my finger like this much, and now I'm in the entire human collection of knowledge,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's so easy to slip into that. But if there's people watching, if there's people there, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah,
It's
you
just,
feel the responsibility. Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
like no one's there to watch me see if I can find like a funny video of someone falling off their skateboard.
Yeah, it's another thing. I feel that um, it's very important to be somehow militarily focused on the thing you do and disciplined, because literally being home all day right now, it's you can be distracted by anything. You can watch TV, and so uh, and I have experienced lately to people that suffer from depression and know how the lack of something to do, something that you say, okay, I'm gonna schedule this and I'm gonna do it every day, no matter what. It can be destructive not having a passion and a schedule and a discipline. So for me, this really in this COVID time, music kind of saved me. I like always did, but this time even more, because I notice how if you keep every day doing something and putting yourself out, then good things come out of that.
Yeah.
And I believe that whatever you do, whatever you decide to do, if you do it with passion and if you do it with constance and you have something to say somehow, success in many form is gonna come. Doesn't mean that success, money or fame, but success can also be very proud of what you're doing and find in your art, on in your output yourself. Say, okay, finally I find a way to express myself to others in the way I always wanted. So that gave me a lot of happiness during this latest month. While around me there was all of this dread and suffering. That doesn't mean I didn't care, but there's no reason why we should all be depressed and sad because the world is a bad place. If all of us have something to say, something to do, and you are happy to do that, and you're passionate, then everybody in the world will be happy, and then everybody will pick on your motivation, and you can motivate other people, and you can teach. So it's just like a little avalanche effect that influence other and make things better. And save you from depression, from like all of the bad thoughts you can have.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And it's having that, getting that satisfaction just from showing up and doing it is so important. And like you said, that avalanche effect really matters. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm kind of built to be a little reclusive anyway, just I think a lot of us producer types probably are. We're used to being in a place by ourselves for hours and we kind of okay with that. But I've had my waves of ups and downs, and I think an especially big one happened in right around June. Uh, it was just like, oh my God, because I think what starts happening at that time, especially, was the realization that this thing's not going away in a couple weeks, because there was always, we had the 14
The hope.
days to the cure, then it was the 30 days, and then it was like, you know what, we're gonna be doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
And then like all the unrest started happening, and then the politics come in, and
Yeah.
like everyone's arguing over everything, and I just felt kind of hopeless about everything, and my music seemed like such a pointless thing in all of this. Doing this, just why am I doing this? What's the point? And I had to really like kind of talk my way out of it with friends, my wife, people, and um, but it was kind of that conclusion that you just came to, that this is something that helps people. It helps
Exactly.
me, and it helps me be better around other people, which will help them be better around other people.
Exactly.
And if this is how what we have to connect with people, I mean, we're so lucky we have it.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have. Could you imagine
It's
if we didn't have these technologies to interact with other people at this point? It'd be, I don't know.
yeah. That I'm on the reclusive kind of person too. Like I like being home. I always like being home.
Mm,
While my wife would love to travel the world, I'm not a big traveler. But so I really enjoy the fact that I can focus on my craft here. And there was one thing that made me think a lot. Like again, I'm not a big artist, but I don't care. I like what I do. But I had this message, when there's the wrapping up of Spotify lately,
yeah.
and two people wrote to me and they sent me the screenshot that both the most played artist and the most played track was mine, and I was like blown away.
Yeah.
You
Cool.
think, oh, it's just two people? It's just no. It's just like some other human being appreciate what I'm doing, and not only that he liked it, but he super liked it. He just listened to it over and over. So to me, it was incredible to think that something I did and something that reflect my mood, my way of being, touched so deeply another person,
Mm,
especially in this time. So while did that bring me millions of dollars or something? No, but brought me the idea that I did something good, and that it's great. That is just like I managed to do probably something that every artist, uh, everyone that want to express himself want to do, touch somebody else. And that somebody else can be whoever, doesn't really matter, but
mm,
it's just somebody that you communicate with, not verbally but with your craft. And so as much as I guess the more I do that, the more this kind of stuff will happen, I feel that this is really the beautiful part of it, when the selfless part of it, the things you do not really for again money or fame. It's just the sharing a mood, sharing your passion, sharing something, and find somebody else that will finally understand it and appreciate it. And I guess we struggle with that since we are kid. We want to be heard, we want to
mm,
be appreciated. And when this come out of some stranger out of the internet that find the time to write you and say thank you because your music really helped me during this time, that's just huge. It's just like something that everybody should feel and say like this is something else. So
mm. That's amazing. I mean, don't ever forget how special that is, because even if you had $1 million, you couldn't buy that. That
exactly.
you
I
can
mean, who knows? But
No, you can't buy that experience for another person. You know what I mean? Like, even if you were getting a ton of streams, say on like, I don't know, some maybe like an ambient playlist for kids doing their homework or something, you just happen to pop up 1 million times and they don't even really hear it, they don't even notice it, and you got a million
yeah, yeah,
dollars. You know, um, but to I mean, I'm sure you know it. I mean, you're a fan of music. You know what it is when you find something that you can put on and it just speaks to you and you feel it, and how valuable that is to you. That
yep,
that your songs did that to people, and
yeah,
that's, you just can't. you can't force that on someone.
No,
And
and the fact that the struggle is always like when you produce something, you will always have your mind: is has this some value? Uh, and you don't have really the way to say that as the creator, because if you say this is amazing, then you will pass as a a core a not I don't find the word, but a cocky person. If you are too modest, nobody will ever notice because you need to get the word out there. So it's just like when finally there's one person you don't know that sincerely show you, hey, this works and it worked for me, and I got what you're saying, and there's no word in it, so it's also instrumental. It's just like, okay, somehow I made it. I get out of my time that I put here what I wanted. Then, of course, this is one step, and this is an endeavor that if you want to do it full time, it's hard because it requires a lot of more things that need to happen. But I mean, that's the little one big little thing that keeps you on track and keeps you thinking, okay, I'm on a good path. So the moment when I feel depressed, and as you said, there's always the moment that you want to drop everything. This is bullshit. You can think about that and say, okay, there was something good. So don't despair.
yeah. Well, if you think about the whole reason we're speaking right now, I got a message on Instagram from someone who said they were enjoying the show. And they said, you know who you should talk to? And they mentioned you and got me looking at your work. And I was like, oh, you're right. I really should. You know, this guy seems pretty cool. He's interesting. Got a lot of stuff. It told me about the subharmonicon. I can never say that right. But he told me about that record you did. And you know, it's just he saw the connection, I guess, between philosophies we share, and you know, here we are now connecting because of that. And
Yep.
it's just and it's something too, like you just don't know all the stuff you put out. This isn't just music. This isn't just things you post on the internet. This is your daily interactions with people. And you hold the door for someone. It might really mean something to them. You just smile to them on the street. You just don't know what your actions, how they affect people. You don't see where all those ripples go.
Yep.
And
Yeah, definitely.
some little thing that means maybe nothing to you that you say or do could really change someone's entire experience here on earth
Yeah.
for that moment, which might then ripple out to other people. And um, yeah, you just don't know. And once in a while, you get these little bits of feedback. You know, you get something like that. Someone that's, hey, look, you were on my Spotify wrap up. Like, and you got to just picture this person somewhere, wherever they are, at various points throughout the year where
Keep listening. Yeah.
they had the headphones on, were doing whatever they were doing, and you were going in their head. I mean, that's amazing. Like,
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
that's, yeah, that is. It's like why the artist does it in a lot of ways. And, you know, there's obviously like self motivation for expressing yourself, but there's a lot of validation in someone else saying, "Yeah, I get it. I know what you mean." You
Yep.
know, that helps. That helps, and we need that now more than ever. Like
Yeah.
we're so isolated, and we're in our little bubbles, our social media bubbles, just getting fed back whatever it is we put out. It's nice to have just those real human connections, and I think like for music fans, like that's something they really value a lot. So that's awesome. That's a
Yep.
win, you know, if you ask me. You did it. So where do you like to send people to find your work? I've got a few ideas. Like we got Instagram, right? I know that's a
So
big one.
yeah, Instagram is where I'm more active, and like I force myself to publish publish every day a snippet of song, and that's my exercise that keep me on track.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the hub where I like to communicate with people. So at OORA Music is my Instagram. Then yeah, I have a Bandcamp where I have all of my album. Some of them still not there because I release with a few other label, but I guess you can find every link and then on OORA Music on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I just started a YouTube page where I want to. It started as my process, but I want to go more in like discussion, like we did. I'm more interested, honestly, in like philosophy and the creativity part rather than the technical thing.
Mm.
And I hope today we didn't go too much on the
No. I love this
philosophy,
stuff.
rather than people would expect a technical thing. But there's so much things about that online that I feel
Yeah.
there's no really need to talk about how a synth work.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff's great. I've watched my share of that. I'm learning as much as I can all the time, but um, there are like deeper philosophical things that apply to everything. And I really like that. And that's why I always tell people, when, like I told you when we do the show, this is an open conversation. And if it wanders, don't feel bad, unless you don't want to talk about it. But, that's why we do it. I think that's what keeps it exciting for me. And so I'm always happy to get into that stuff. And I like that you are taking that angle too, because there's more to what you do and what we do. It's not just, you turn the filter frequency this way and you put this pedal on at this setting. Like it's something else. And what it is hard to say. It's hard to put our fingers on it, but that's why it's fascinating. And that's why so much other stuff comes out of it. And like as we started the show kind of talking about the books Free Play and The Art of Is, we had it's about music, but it's about life and it's
Yeah.
about living and all of that. So I'm really happy we got a chance to sit down and talk about all this stuff.
Yeah, me too.
So for the people listening, when you look up OORA Music, it's OORA Music, MUSIC. It sounds like Aura, AURA, but OORA. And yeah, I think you'll find it pretty quickly from there. And yeah, a lot of stuff though, a lot of releases like pretty quick.
Yeah.
I think that's what you have this Una Story Breve.
Una storia breve.
Is that a brief story?
Yes.
Okay, so
That's the latest.
that's just out last month.
Yeah, I had a lot of. So I had one techno ambient, dub techno album on August. That was with Metamorph in New York, and it's called Memoria, and that is more my dark techno part that something I really like, and that took like a long time to be ready because many reasons. Then after that, I had the release of Una Storia Breve. That is a cassette, and it's very simple. Even that one that I all did with this guy, the Roland
SH101
SH01A,
yeah,
and that one is same concept as the Subharmonicon that actually came before. I forgot about that. And that this time I just work with the Roland, and this time I use this idea that this has 4 voices, and so I use 4 different sequencer and sequence the different voice. So I never use it doing chords and stuff, but it was fun to use the same architecture for 4 voices and then play with the legato and portamento that create a weird, interesting thing. And then I had another album that I recorded on the tape, on the reel to reel, that is called Vento. That is, it was out in September. And yeah, let me tell the label that they help a lot. So, Una Storia Breve was with Wow and Flutter from Dublin. And the other one, Vento, was with the Healing Sound Propagandists.
Mhm.
And Vento is just pure ambient with long, washed out, very melodic, relaxing, and calm tracks. And yeah, I create most of this stuff like in this last month, so very productive. And yeah, now I have an album that I really, really like what I did. And it's just like this dub, ambient, techno, all mixed together. And I'm working with Ambisonic too. And it's basically done. So it's just like I want to find the right way to release it. So I guess it's gonna be out next year, some probably second quarter.
Nice.
And yeah, and keep cranky. Now
Yeah.
I'm working of this other thing that is gonna be like a very distorted, dark thing with 80s kind of influences. And just I will work this time with the Vermona Performer only,
Mm.
and some chain of distortion. Yeah, I guess every time I try to focus on one instrument and let me see what kind of inspiration come out from that, and then move forward with that.
Yeah, I love that way of working. I think it's just it's a great limitation and it's a great way to focus. And and we need to focus. That's the whole trick, I think, these days is there's so many directions you can go. You have to focus on something. You got to kind of pick it and narrow it down. And I think that's it. I mean, you're living proof, right? You're just pumping stuff out because that's what you're doing.
Also, it
Staying
tells me because
staying
tells me
consistent
not
and
keep
focusing.
buying stuff, because that's I I need to put myself on a sort of limit, because that there's so many things coming out, and then there's some company that I work not collaborate, and that they send me stuff, and I always love to do demos of stuff and do video for them. So whenever you got a new instrument, it's a process, because you need to learn, and takes like when I work with the guys from Orba, Artiphone. I love them, they're very nice. I love Orba, it's fun. It's definitely an instrument aimed to a certain kind of uh, audience that can make everybody can make music with that. But they just give me now the instrument one, that is the
Hmm.
guitar kind of controller, and you need to learn that. And it's just like that. Then I collaborating with the guys, Sonicware, that is a Japanese company, and they send me the Liven, and it's this 8-bit synth that is super fun. And I need to find the time to really get into it, and then it's when I can create something. But yeah, I wish I had more time.
Yeah.
Not millions of dollars. That the currency that I'm interested now is time, man.
Right. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's precious. Well, I'm not going to keep you any longer. You've given me plenty of your time, and I think you got
No
some really great
problem.
ways of approaching music, and the discipline is great, and the limitations are really helpful, and it's a fun experience. You can tell you're having a good time, and that's also another important aspect of it.
Yeah, definitely. And I can keep talking forever, so I don't want to bother you too.
No, no, not at all. Well, go to Aura Music on Instagram. You can then get to the link tree that'll take you all different places, or you can just kind of write Aura Music into
Yeah,
your
fine.
Google. It'll bring you to SoundCloud. It'll bring you to Bandcamp. Lots of great music to check out. Thanks for your time, and thank you all for listening.
More than welcome. Thanks for having me.
Have a great day, everyone.